Pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you. If you are seeing these signs, it means only one thing. Your aura is changing. Not just any change, not a superficial change, but the silent transformation that Napoleon Hill would call the beginning of the millionaire mind. Because before any fortune manifests itself, before any achievement materializes, the energy behind it needs to originate within you. All true prosperity begins invisibly. It begins as a mental field, an inner magnetism, an aura that begins to emit such a clear vibratory pattern that the universe can no longer ignore. If these signs are appearing, it's because your frequency is rising. The old version of you can no longer contain the greatness that is coming. Your mind is reacting. Your subconscious is awakening. Your spirit is reminding you of something you've always known. You weren't born to survive. You were born to create. And when that memory returns, when that spark reignites, the aura changes, your thoughts change, your posture changes, and life begins to respond. These signs are not a coincidence. These are confirmations. And if you're noticing each one of them, so you're already on the path not only to success, but transforming itself into its very source. Armistice and identity, the awakening of the aura. When mediocrity becomes unbearable, if you're noticing this first sign, know this: it's always the most unsettling, the most uncomfortable, the easiest to ignore, but also the most sacred. Napoleon Hill said that every great transformation begins with a silent refusal. An intimate moment in which a man realizes, even if he can't explain it, that the life he is living no longer matches the life he is capable of creating. And that's how your aura begins to change. Before wealth, before conquest, before visible ascension, there is an internal irritation, mild at first, then impossible to ignore. Where you once accepted what was ordinary, now it hurts you. Where you once adjusted to the small size, now it suffocates you. Where you once felt at home, now your soul protests. This discomfort is not a sign of weakness. It's not impatience. It's not ingratitude. It's an awakening. It's the aura expanding beyond the limits that your current life can support. It's the energy field of your mind beginning to vibrate at a level where certain conversations no longer make sense, certain habits no longer fit, certain people no longer reach you. You've probably felt this before, that deep discomfort of repeating a purposeless routine, that feeling that you're living below the level you know you deserve, that emptiness that appears in the middle of the day, not for lack of things, but due to a lack of direction. Napoleon Hill called this identity clash, the moment when your future self begins to put pressure on your present self. And when that shock happens, you can no longer fool yourself. You try to go back to being who you were. You try to recapture old pleasures. You try to distract yourself. But nothing works because the aura has already changed. The vibrational field has already risen. The seed of success has already germinated in the subconscious. Discomfort with mediocrity is the first sign that your vibration is rising. It's proof that you're separating yourself from the old version of yourself, that version that accepted little, expected little, dreamed small. Mediocrity is starting to hurt because you no longer belong there. This is the moment when life pushes you upwards. It's as if your own energy is saying, "That's not me. This no longer reflects who I am becoming. I was born for more." When that awareness arrives, the extreme need for change does not stem from ambition, but due to vibrational incompatibility. You're not just tired of your old life. You're too ready for the new thing. And when that sign appears, it never comes alone. He is the first glimmer of an aura that is restructuring itself, preparing for a quantum leap for the creation of a new reality. This is the beginning of the journey, the first rupture, the first call. And from here on out, everything changes. The protection of time. When the aura learns to filter the world, there is a crucial moment in the development of the aura of success, when you finally understand that time is not just a resource, it's a frequency. It is the fundamental vibration upon which all prosperity is built. And when your aura awakens, it begins to reject everything that wastes that vibration. Napoleon Hill said that failure always follows those who treat time as if it were infinite. The man who awakens to success doesn't just organize his minutes, he consecrates them. He begins to feel, almost physically, the sacred weight of each hour. That is why, when your aura begins to strengthen, you become intolerant of empty conversations. You can't stand pointless distractions anymore. You begin selecting people with surgical precision. Your priorities change irreversibly. It's not arrogance. It's not isolation. It's not about becoming unlikable. It is vibrational evolution. Your aura is becoming denser, cleaner, and more focused. And any energy that doesn't match its current frequency appears as noise. You used to tolerate that noise. Now it's exhausting you. You used to think it was normal to live a busy life. Now you know that being busy has nothing to do with being aligned. The protection of time occurs when the aura changes from an open state to a directed state. It's as if your energy field understands something you've never said out loud. My future demands a different level of focus. You've probably felt this before. That deep discomfort you feel when someone traps you in conversations that belittle you. That feeling that certain people drain your energy just by talking to you. That feeling of relief when you choose silence, reading, building, introspection. This relief is not an escape. It's alignment. Hill claimed that the difference between those who succeed and those who merely watch is how they approach their mornings, their focused hours, their creative moments. When you protect your time, you protect your mental strength. When you protect your mental strength, you protect your destiny. The man who awakens to wealth does not live to pass the time. He lives for multiply it. And here a crucial point emerges. When you start saying no more often, it's not because you're distancing yourself from the world. It's because he's getting closer to himself, regarding its purpose, from your mission, from your point of view. Every no you say to the superfluous, it's a silent yes to your destiny. Your aura learns to filter out what doesn't build you up. And when the aura filters through, life goes on. Opportunities change. People are reorganizing themselves. The paths narrow, but they deepen. You're not becoming cold. It is becoming focused. You're not losing people. You're missing out on distractions. You're not getting stiff. It's getting better intentionally. And when life realizes this, something extraordinary happens. Time ceases to be just time and becomes gravity. Anything that is not aligned drifts apart. Everything that is aligned comes closer. This is how an aura of success is born. Protecting what is precious, focusing on what is vital, honoring what is limited. When you change your relationship with time, you change your relationship with destiny. And this is where the journey truly begins. The focus, the force that condenses the aura and creates magnetism. There is a moment in every man's life when he wakes up that is not marked by noise, but through silence. An inner silence so concentrated that when he arrives, no amount of confusion can survive within it. Napoleon Hill called this moment the birth of the organized mind. That's when your energy stops being scattered in the world and begins to retreat towards a target, a purpose, a creation, a vision. This is where the aura of success ceases to be a subtle blow, and it begins to become a condensed focus, a mental strength capable of bending circumstances, attract opportunities, and reject everything that weakens your future. You've probably felt this before, that day when, for the first time, you couldn't distract yourself with anything, as if life itself were calling you back to your own center. It's not discipline, it's destiny. It's not an effort. It's alignment. True focus doesn't come from willpower. It is born from vibrational clarity. When your aura knows what it wants, their actions continue. Your attention follows. Your energy continues. The world goes on. Hill said, "A mind that learns to focus is a mind that creates wealth without being hindered." And when this concentration arises, something magical happens. You start to lose your appetite for everything that is broken down. for everything that distracts, for everything that is scattered. What used to entertain you now holds you back. What once stimulated you now shatters you. What once occupied you now impoverishes you. Because when the focus arrives, a mute aura of state, she becomes targeted. The man who is developing an aura of success, it no longer seeks random stimuli. He seeks depth, direction, efficiency, intention. You start to realize that where before you reacted, now you respond. Where you once got lost, now you find your way. Where you once consumed, now you create. Where you once followed, now you lead. And that is the hidden secret of personal magnetism. Focus is what transforms dispersed energy into attractive energy. The universe does not respond to hesitation. He responds to clarity. He responds to the decision. He responds to the aura that he knows what he's doing here. When you focus, you become dangerous, not in a destructive sense, but in an irresistible way. Dangerous for distractions, dangerous for the lazy, dangerous for mediocrity, dangerous to anything that tries to stop its growth. And at the same time, you become magnetic. Opportunities that previously went unnoticed, they are starting to appear. People who didn't notice you before, they begin to feel his presence. Paths that once seemed improbable, they begin to open up. Because the focus is on the architecture of the aura. It's the line that transforms light into laser. It is the force that transforms intention into destiny. Hill claimed that a mind disciplined by concentration is the most powerful mind that exists. And now you are experiencing exactly that. She's not becoming a focused person. He's becoming an unavoidable person. Their focus is no longer on effort. It's identity. It's vibration. It's an energy subscription. And from this moment on, your journey to success ceases to be a quest. And it becomes an alignment, a aura condensu. The field has defined its target. Attention found its purpose. Nothing in the world is more powerful than a man whose entire energy is directed in the same direction. And that man is you now. Thinking long term, when the focus shifts from seeking results to building a legacy. There is a critical point in the inner journey of the man who is becoming great. A point that few people notice when it arrives, but that changes absolutely everything. That's when he stops thinking about today and starts thinking about always, when he stops acting to obtain relief and then takes action to create the future, when he abandons the impulse and adopts the vision. Napoleon Hill said that the average person thinks about what they will eat tomorrow. The extraordinary man thinks about what he will leave behind when he departs. And that's exactly where your aura begins to take on a new form. When you start thinking long term, it's not just your mind that evolves. It is your vibrational field that changes texture. It ceases to be an anxious, fragmented, immediate energy, and it becomes a calm, deep, strategic field. He stops looking for quick results and goes on to build lasting structures. You feel this when stop acting out of fear and start acting out of purpose. Stop seeking gratification and start seeking growth. Abandon shallow plans and start designing solid projects. Stop chasing income and start building value. Stop thinking in months and start thinking in decades. A man who thinks long-term doesn't live in a hurry. Live with purpose. This change is so profound that your subconscious begins to operate on a different level. You no longer fight against your old habits. You surpass them. You no longer try to prove anything to anyone. You end up building something that speaks for you. His aura, previously unstable, is now beginning to show signs of consistency. And consistency is the rarest vibration in the modern world. Hill repeated that the great builders of history had something in common. They had such a clear vision of the future that the present did not shake them. This is exactly what happens to you when long-term thinking awakens. You stop being shaken by temporary results. You stop measuring yourself by fleeting circumstances. You stop comparing yourself to those who are constantly chasing after crumbs. Your mind stabilizes. Your energy deepens. Its aura expands horizontally and vertically. It's as if you start to see that every decision, every habit, every word, it's not just an isolated incident, but it's a seed that you plant in the soil of time. And those who think like that are no longer distracted. He is no longer living in despair. He is no longer a slave to the present. It lives in expansion. And here arises a point that Hill considered sacred. Every man who builds a fortune first builds a character capable of sustaining it. When you think long-term, you start building invisible assets: skill, discipline, self-control, depth, vision, ability to execute. And these assets, although they may not appear immediately, they are responsible for everything you will reap later. Thinking long-term means abandoning the logic of winning and enter into the logic of multiplying. It is the moment when the aura stops thinking about results and starts thinking about legacy. From this change, the energy within you reorganizes itself. The future is no longer a matter of chance, and it becomes a project. Prosperity ceases to be a wish, and it becomes a plan. Success is no longer just a dream, and it becomes an identity. This is the transition from an ordinary man to an inevitable man, because the man is guided by vision. No need to speed up, no need to prove it, no need to explain. He walks with tranquility, from someone who knows they are building something that time cannot destroy. Your aura now emits clarity, direction, and intention. She became a vibrational signature that the universe recognizes, the signature of someone who is no longer looking for shortcuts because he decided to build the path. And when that decision is made, the future is slowly beginning to bend in your favor. A new relationship with money. When the aura learns to attract instead of chase, there comes a point in a man's evolution when money ceases to be an emotional burden. Stop being a ghost. It ceases to be a symbol of fear or desire, and simply becomes energy in motion. Napoleon Hill taught that money was never the ultimate goal, but it is the inevitable reflection of a disciplined, focused, and organized mind. And this is where your aura undergoes one of the most profound changes of the entire journey to prosperity. When your consciousness awakens, you begin to realize that your previous relationship with money was childish. Sometimes anxious, sometimes dependent, sometimes needy, sometimes ashamed. You didn't realize it, but you were always reacting to money, never leading over it. And then, one day, without warning, something inside you realigns itself. Not because you earned more, but because you finally understood what Hill meant when he wrote, "Money is a perfect servant, but a terrible master." When that truth sinks in, its aura reorganizes everything around this understanding. Money ceases to be something you chase after, and it becomes something that responds to who you become. Your worth starts to matter more than your effort. Your purpose starts to matter more than your haste. Your identity starts to matter more than your income. You realize that the money isn't in the job, it's in the mindset that leads to the work. He's not on the task, it's in the value you print on it. He is not on the long journey, it is in the vision that guides your steps. And here a radical vibrational shift occurs. The fear of money disappears. Attachment to money weakens. The obsession with money dissolves. Because now you see him for who he really is, a messenger of the value you deliver, not from the effort you expend. From this point on, your aura takes on a new energetic posture. She doesn't beg. She doesn't demand. She doesn't run. She attracts. This is where you begin to notice something surprising. Money comes more easily when you stop trying to control it and begins to control himself. It appears more frequently when you act from a position of abundance, not out of need. It flows when you create, not when you beg. Hill said that wealth does not answer need, it responds to clarity. It doesn't respond to anxiety, it responds to the intention. It doesn't respond to despair, it responds to consistency. When your aura comes into alignment, you stop working for money and starts working with power. The difference is monumental. The man who works for money sells his time, The man who wields power creates value. The man who creates value generates impact. And the man who makes an impact becomes indispensable. It is this vibrational indispensability which initiates the magnetism of prosperity. Here you realize that your creativity is worth more than your time. Your clarity is worth more than your effort. Your vision is worth more than your tasks. Your energy is worth more than your urgency. Your aura ceases to be heavy, needy, tentacular, and becomes open, confident, expansive. You finally understand that money isn't earned. It is being built. Money is not something you chase. It attracts. Money cannot be controlled. It is administered. Money doesn't make you valuable. It simply amplifies the value you've already decided to create. And when that understanding takes hold, you experience one of the greatest milestones in awakening to wealth. Money loses its emotional power over you. He ceases to determine his own choices, to guide your decisions, to dictate your self-esteem, to regulate your mood. And when money stops controlling you, he finally starts serving you. Her aura, now clear and steady, it emits a signal that the entire universe recognizes. I don't depend on money. I depend on my worth. And my value is infinite. That is why, for men who reach that state, wealth not only becomes possible, it becomes predictable. And the most impressive thing, this change begins within, long before any external number transforms. The obsession with growth. When the aura begins to expand its capacity, there is a moment in a man's journey of awakening when something curious happens. It's not external. It's not visible. It's not flashy. It's internal, a silent but irreversible movement. Suddenly you start to feel hungry. Not a hunger for comfort, not a hunger for validation, not a hunger for distractions, a hunger for growth. It's as if its aura, as it rises, demands more space, more knowledge, more depth, further expansion, more truth. Napoleon Hill said that the man who wishes to prosper must first expand his own mind until it becomes too great to live a small life. And that's exactly what's starting to happen here. You realize that the person you were before simply no longer has the inner capacity to sustain the greatness that is coming. Not for lack of trying, but due to a lack of infrastructure. And then you start building that structure. Reading ceases to be an obligation and becomes nourishment. Learning ceases to be an effort and becomes a pleasure. Mentoring is no longer a luxury, but a necessity. Studying stops being something for when I can and become something. I need this to live. It's as if your spirit were saying, I want more. I demand more. I was born for more. And the aura responds by expanding towards that which strengthens you. You start to switch. Entertainment through evolution, gossip for wisdom, distraction from studying, opinion based on knowledge, desire for execution. The average person seeks to understand the world. The awakened person seeks to understand themselves. E. Hill claimed that self-knowledge is the greatest accelerator of wealth that exists, because a man who knows himself can multiply everything he touches, including himself. When the obsession with growth sets in, you notice several transformations. You ask deeper questions. Listen to conversations that would have seemed complex to you before. Notice patterns that previously went unnoticed. Spend more time absorbing than reacting. Invest more energy in expanding than in debating. Your brain changes. Your attention shifts. Your internal dialogue changes. Your perception changes. And above all, your aura changes. It becomes a richer, denser, more luminous vibratory field. She is no longer limited to the life you had. It's expanding into the life you're going to have. Growth becomes an obsession, not because you are dissatisfied, but because you finally understood that there is no prosperity without ability. There is no wealth without preparation. There is no peak without a foundation. The man who wants to reach the top must first endure the climb. And growth is that upward movement. Each book opens a mental window. Each lesson ignites a new layer of awareness. Each insight strengthens your identity. Each learning experience expands your potential. Hill said that the brain is a receiver and transmitter of vibrations, and as you grow, your frequency becomes more refined. It rises, it becomes clearer, more magnetic. Therefore, when the obsession with growth arrives, you begin to notice something unexpected. What you learn begins to translate into results. What you read becomes new actions. What you study leads to new decisions. What you absorb becomes new opportunities. Because knowledge is not information, it's vibration. The right knowledge expands the aura. An expanded aura expands reality. An expanded reality expands destiny. That's why, when you really start to grow, the whole world starts treating you differently. Even though nothing external has changed yet, people notice. Conversations change. Opportunities are approaching. Life reacts. But the truth is more profound. It's not that life has changed. It was you. And from here, there's no going back. The transformation of language, when the aura begins to create reality through words, there's a change that happens so subtly that many don't even realize when it begins. But that absolutely transforms everything that comes after. That's when your words change. Napoleon Hill said that the word is the bridge between the conscious and the subconscious. And it is through it that man writes, line by line, the story that you will live. Therefore, when your aura begins to transform, the first thing she reorganizes is her language, not in a poetic way, not in an intellectual way, in a vibrational way. You realize this when some sentences simply die on your lips. I am unable. I am not capable. Maybe someday. Who knows? Suddenly these expressions seem too small for the energy you are carrying. They are no longer useful to you. They no longer represent you. They no longer match the frequency of their new identity. You start talking less about limits and more about intention. Less fear and more clarity. Less doubt and more decision. Your language changes, not because you're trying to appear stronger, but because you finally understood that every word is a command, a code, an order that the subconscious registers and transforms into a direction for life. And her aura, now more awakened, I don't accept you belittling yourself verbally. The change is so profound that it happens even in silence. Previously, his thoughts were filled with uncertainty. Now they align with purpose. You've probably felt this before. That moment when you open your mouth, and before you can speak, you realize you can no longer say anything that contradicts who you are becoming. This is much more than just a change in behavior. It is identity restructuring. Hill claimed that the mind believes everything you tell it, and he works day and night to make that a reality. When your language changes, your aura begins to emit new signals to the universe. And the universe responds to these signals with opportunities, paths, connections, and movements. Words create vibration. Vibration creates behavior. Behavior creates destiny. You realize you're changing when your words begin to carry weight. More certainty than hesitation. More creation than complaint. More purpose than venting. More direction than doubt. More decision than hope. You no longer say, I hope, because hope is too weak for a determined spirit. You say, I will do it, because that creates movement. You say, I am, because that creates identity. You say, it's done, because that creates a vibe. When your language changes, your aura reorganizes itself around your new narrative. It aligns with the version of the future you've chosen. And when the aura aligns, life bends. Hill called it intelligent self-affirmation. Your channel calls this aura of success, but at its core, it's the same truth. The man who masters his language masters his reality. And this mastery isn't about speaking beautifully. It's about speaking the truth. Speak powerfully. Speak in a coordinated manner. Speak from your higher self. Language transforms because consciousness has expanded. Consciousness expanded because identity changed. The identity changed because the aura awakened. From here on out, every word you say becomes a brick, a seed, a prophecy. And when you realize that, You definitively abandon disorganized speech, scattered communication, the chaotic narrative. His aura no longer allows it. Your voice is now an instrument, hot iron shaping the future, energy vibrating in a direction, intention writing destiny. You no longer speak to vent your frustrations. You speak to create. You speak to strengthen. You say to align. You speak of building the man that is being born within you. And it is exactly here that its transformation ceases to be internal, and it begins to manifest itself in the world. The change in your social circle, when your aura begins to select who can walk with you. There is an inevitable moment in the development of an aura of success, a quiet, often lonely moment, where you realize that your energy no longer fits into the same conversations, in the same environments, within the same ties, within the same dynamics as before. Napoleon Hill said that poverty is contagious, just as success is contagious. Not because people convey wealth or poverty with words, but because they transmit vibration, vision, mindset, frequency. And when your aura awakens, she begins to reject, with almost instinctive force, any presence, habit, or relationship that sustains its old version. It's not a rational decision, it's vibration. It's energy selection. It is its magnetic field recognizing what nourishes and what destroys. You've probably felt this before, that exhaustion that comes right after talking to someone who only talks about problems, as if his soul had carried a weight that was not his own. That feeling of being out of place in shallow social circles, where people repeat the same complaints, the same jokes, the same stories, as if life were frozen there. That growing desire for silence, not because you are sad, but because it's growing. When your aura changes, relationships change. When the vibe goes up, the compatibility goes down. As consciousness expands, certain connections naturally break. And this is where many feel pain, because they confuse distance with loss. But the truth is different. You're not losing. You are protecting yourself. You are preparing. You are aligning yourself. Hill was saying something profound. Man becomes the sum of the 5 minds to which he is most frequently exposed. That's why, when your vision grows, when your energy evolves, when your identity expands, you simply can no longer coexist in a lighthearted way with someone who lives trapped in limitations that you have decided to overcome. And it's not about thinking you're better. It's about knowing where you're going. People who make a living by complaining now sound strange. People who live in victimhood now seem distant. People who don't dream now sound slow to you. People who mock discipline now seem old-fashioned to you. Not because you rose above them, but because their aura has evolved beyond the level where those energies exist. And in this transition, something even more interesting happens. You start to crave closeness with people who challenge you. They speak of possibilities. They think deeply. Those who value purpose, that grow, they dream, that they build. You are no longer looking for company, seeking expansion. You are no longer seeking distraction. Seek depth. You no longer seek to be accepted. It seeks to be aligned. And little by little, its aura begins to select. Some drift away. Others are approaching. Some disappear. Others appear out of nowhere. This is how the universe rearranges the social landscape when a man decides to grow up. Hill called it smart proximity, the art of placing yourself among minds that lift you up, not that they hold you to the ground. And you realize you're experiencing this when they prefer listening to a powerful conversation rather than a comfortable one. It seeks environments where the standard of magnitude is normal. You feel more alive among people who dream big. Feels out of place among people who don't want to evolve. Values silence more than superficiality. This is one of the clearest signs that your aura is strengthening. Because a weak aura blends in with any pattern. A strong aura filters through. A wise aura selects. A prosperous aura provides protection. The truth is simple. Not everyone can walk with you. Not everyone is made to understand his calling. Not everyone is meant to participate in its construction. And that's okay. The path of the awakened man is not a path of many obstacles. It's a finely tuned path. It's a chosen path. It is a sacred path. And those who remain by your side during this transformation, these are the ones whose energy is able to match the brightness of their aura. The relationship with adversity, when the aura stops breaking and starts strengthening under pressure. There is an unavoidable point on the path of any man who is awakening to success. The moment he realizes that adversity hasn't come to destroy him, but to shape it. Napoleon Hill said that every defeat carries within it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit. A phrase repeated so many times that many have ceased to understand its depth. But you are now beginning to understand it not with your mind, but with soul. When your aura begins to expand, she doesn't become more delicate, it becomes more resistant. And this resilience does not stem from a lack of challenges, but from the change of perspective regarding them. You've probably felt this before. That moment when something went wrong, something broke. A door closed, and for the first time, instead of feeling despair, you felt clarity. There is no clarity about the problem, but be clear about yourself. It's as if the pain, once so terrifying, now it had become a mirror, a place where you can see yourself more clearly, more strength, more precision. Your relationship with failure changes, because you stop asking yourself, why did this happen to me? And starts asking, what is this teaching me? This change is too profound to be faked. When it happens, your aura changes texture. She becomes more firm, more stable, more mature. The pressure stops crushing you, and it starts to shape you. Obstacles will no longer hold you back, and then they start preparing you. Falls no longer paralyze you, and they begin to strengthen you. Hill claimed that failure doesn't exist, only plans that need adjusting. And you start to realize exactly that. Life isn't punishing you. Life is training you. And when that perception sets in, you become dangerous. Not because it will never fall, but because it will never fall again. You no longer bend under the weight. You grow up beneath it. You don't try to avoid the difficulty. You try to extract wisdom from her. You don't try to escape the pain. You try to transmute it. Your aura learns one of the most important skills of prosperity, emotional alchemy. The average man runs away from pain. The awakened man transforms her. He picks what hurts and transforms it into strength. Take what frustrates you and transforms it into focus. Pick up what fails and transforms it into strategy. And gradually you realize something extraordinary. The challenges are beginning to change in meaning. They cease to be interruptions, and they become instructions. They cease to be obstacles, and they become equipment. They cease to be barriers, and they become steps. Your aura begins to respond to adversity with intelligence, not reaction. With awareness, not with despair. With strategy, not panic. And this is so powerful that it even changes how people perceive you. Where others fall, you rise. Where others complain, you observe. Where others give up their strength, you reclaim yours. Adversity ceases to define you, and it begins to refine you. Hill said that a man's strength is never measured in times of comfort, but in the way he behaves during chaos. And you are proving to yourself that you possess an inner power, which I didn't even know I had. Your aura is now an aura that endures. He learns, that is growing, that expands, that adapts, that which evolves. Adversity is no longer a sign of defeat. It's a sign of preparedness. It's the universe asking, do you really want this? Are you ready to stand by what you asked for? Can your character withstand the greatness you desire? And every time you get up, every time you learn, every time you transform pain into direction, your aura responds. Try. I can handle it. I'm growing. I'll continue. And when life acknowledges that response, she begins to release what was previously held back. Because greatness is not granted to the man who avoids pain, but to the man who can carry it without losing his sight. Your aura, from here on, it is no longer an aura trying to survive. It's an aura that is being prepared for leadership, to prosper, to expand. And adversity, which previously seemed like an enemy, now he reveals himself as a master. The transformation of identity, when the aura takes on the form of the man you are becoming. There comes a point in a man's journey of awakening when he stops trying to change his life and begins to change himself. Napoleon Hill said that the greatest revelation a man can have is realizing that his destiny is tied to his identity. And it is at this point that everything is redefined. Because life doesn't always go the way you want it to. Life responds to what you ... and not what you dream of, not what you imagine, not what you promised, but to what you have truly become. And that is why identity transformation is the most crucial point in the journey. It's when your aura stops reflecting your circumstances and begins to reflect on its future. It's when your behavior stops being guided by who you used to be and becomes guided by the man you are creating within yourself. It's when you realize that your choices, your habits, your words, your routines, they can no longer be consistent with their old version. You simply can't live like you used to anymore, no matter how hard you try. No matter how hard you try. Because something changed inside, a change so profound that it cannot be reversed. Hill called it internal paradigm shift. Your channel calls this aura of success, but they both mean the same thing. You've become incompatible with the life you had. And from that moment on, a series of transformations take place, not through effort, but through identity. You start waking up in a different way. No longer reacting to the day, but like the one who leads the day. You start to move differently, no longer like someone who waits, but as the one who decides. You start to see yourself differently, no longer like someone trying, but like someone it already. This change is so profound that it even shows in his posture, in the way of walking, in the way of breathing, in the way of speaking. Your aura becomes stronger. It gains density. Gains certainty. The world notices. People notice. Opportunities are perceived. But the truth is, you're the one who changed. And here is the most important point. Before success appears in your life, it appears in your identity. That's why you stop saying, "I hope I can," and then goes on to say, "I'm going to succeed." Stop saying, "One day I'll get there," and then goes on to say, "I'm coming." Stop saying, "Maybe it's possible," and goes on to say, "It's only a matter of time." You've stopped being someone who wants results and became someone who delivers results. Because the man who acts as if he has already won ends up winning, not by magic, not by coincidence, but due to vibrational coherence. Hill said that the subconscious only understands two languages: repetition and identity. And when you assume the identity of someone successful, your aura begins to organize itself around this new truth. Your mindset changes. Your focus changes. Your discipline changes. Your energy changes. His presence changes. And your life has no choice but to change along with it. That is why, from a certain point onwards, you realize you no longer need to motivate yourself. You don't need to force yourself anymore. You no longer need to fight against yourself. Discipline comes naturally. Action comes naturally. Consistency comes naturally. Because you're no longer trying to behave like the man of the future. You are becoming the man of the future. Your aura is now an extension of your new identity. Firmer, clearer, more confident, more stable, more aware. And when your identity changes, something extraordinary happens. Opportunities that previously passed you by unnoticed, they are now drawn to you. The doors that once seemed closed, now they begin to move. People who previously didn't see their worth, they now sense his presence even before hearing his voice. Because you are no longer emitting the vibrational signal of the man you once were, but of the man you are destined to be. Identity is the source of prosperity. The aura is a reflection of identity. And reality is a reflection of the aura. That's why nothing changes outside until everything changes inside. And here, at this exact point in your journey, everything inside you is changing. Silent discipline. When aura creates gravity and attracts opportunities through consistency, there's a type of discipline that the world admires, a type that the world applauds, a type that the world displays as proof of strength. But there is another. A discipline that makes no noise, that does not require a witness, that doesn't need recognition. A silent discipline, autonomous, interior, almost invisible, but infinitely more powerful. This discipline begins to emerge when your aura awakens. Napoleon Hill said that true discipline does not arise from obligation, but of identity. When you are still guided by the old version of yourself, discipline seems like effort. It looks like a fight. It seems like a sacrifice. But when you become who you need to be, discipline ceases to be a burden. And it becomes a posture. You don't force it anymore. You flow. You don't push anymore. You move forward. You are not fighting against yourself. You keep track of yourself. Silent discipline is the clearest evidence that its aura had entered a state of coherence. Consistency between intention and action. Consistency between identity and behavior. Coherence between thought and action. You've probably felt this before. Before, you needed to motivate yourself to do what was necessary. Now, you just do it. Previously, I needed inspiration in order to act. Now, taking action is natural. Previously, I needed external reminders. Now your own spirit guides you. Not because it got easier, but because you got stronger. You realize your discipline has matured when you keep your promises to yourself even when you don't want to. You show up even when nobody sees you. You keep going even without applause. You run it without needing to advertise. You honor your word in silence. Silent discipline is the cradle of greatness. It is there that the character that sustains empires is formed. It is within this framework that the unbreakable mindset is built. It is there that the vibrational pattern of prosperity is recorded. Hill claimed that a man can deceive the world, but it never fools your subconscious. And the subconscious responds to what you do when no one is watching. That is why this hidden discipline, it transforms your aura in such a profound way. It creates gravity. Yes, gravity. A type of magnetic force that draws opportunities closer. Make the right people notice you. It makes the right doors open effortlessly. Because the world doesn't respond to what you say, it responds to what you become. And the disciplined man in silence, it becomes inevitable. This discipline creates such a stable, reliable, and constant energy that the universe will come to trust you. And when the universe trusts, he delivers. He provides guidance, delivery of wedding rings, deliver ideas. It gives you chances, delivery of growth. Your aura now vibrates with consistency. And consistency is a spiritual language, which few people understand, but all prosperity acknowledges this. That is why, from this stage onwards, you become a dangerous man in silence. Dangerous for excuses, dangerous for procrastination, dangerous for self-sabotage, dangerous for anything that tries to throw you off balance. Because their routine is now a ritual. Your commitment is now sacred. Your presence is now a signature. Your discipline is now identity. You've stopped being someone who acts when inspired, and you become someone who does it because that's who you are. And this change, so subtle and so profound, that's what separates the men who dream of the men who accomplish. Silent discipline transforms your aura in a source of stability, clarity, and power. It creates a vibration that not only attracts, but supports prosperity, because the money arrives quickly. But it only stays with those who have the structure. And now you have structure. Now you have a foundation. Now you have consistency. His aura, once scattered, now has a center. Previously unstable, now it has a center. It used to be too open, now it's solid. And that solidity is what makes you a man capable of carrying greatness without being crushed by it. The inner vision. When the aura begins to see the future before it exists. There's a moment in a man's evolution where his eyes cease to seek evidence in the physical world, and they begin to seek direction in the invisible world. A moment when external reality ceases to be a point of reference, and inner reality becomes truth. Napoleon Hill said that everything that the human mind is capable of conceiving and believing, she is capable of doing it. But few understand that this belief does not stem from facts, but with a vision. The inner vision is the first rehearsal of future reality. It's when you see without seeing. It's when you know without knowing how. It's when you feel something for no reason. It's when your soul is more advanced than your life. And when your aura reaches that state, it completely changes its nature. The average person needs to see results to believe. A visionary man believes in order to see results. The difference between these two men, it's the difference between living an ordinary life and live an extraordinary life. You've probably felt this before. That moment when for no logical reason, you know your life is changing. That moment when you realize you're walking towards something greater than what your eyes can see. That gentle yet unwavering feeling that something is being built inside you before it appears on the outside. This feeling is not my imagination. It's not fantasy. It's not an illusion. It is internal view. It is your spirit recognizing the path before your steps. It's your subconscious receiving signals about your future. It's your aura vibrating in accordance with a reality you haven't yet experienced, but it already has become so. Hill said that winners always go the distance twice, once in the mind, then in life. And that's what's happening to you right now. Your aura is moving ahead, and you are following. When inner vision is activated, you start acting as if you already are, speaking as if you already knew, decide as if you already knew, plant as if you've already harvested. And the most extraordinary thing is that this attitude will change your life faster than any single action. Because the universe doesn't respond to what you have. It responds to what you believe it to be. Inner vision changes your vibration. Your vibration changes your decisions. Your decisions change your path. Your path changes your destiny. You stop reacting to what happens, and it starts reacting to what you see in your mind. And this vision is stronger than any difficulty, clearer than any doubt, more stable than any instability. When inner vision awakens, you begin to seeing possibilities where others see problems, to perceive paths where others see barriers, finding opportunities where others see closure, to experience progress where others see stagnation. Your aura begins to convey direction. And when the aura conveys direction, everything around begins to reorganize itself to keep up. You realize this when coincidences increase. Opportunities arise without explanation. The right people start to show up. Doors begin to open unexpectedly. Invitations, ideas, and insights arise out of nowhere. It's not magic. It's not luck. It's no coincidence. It's vibrational alignment. Hill explained this by saying that the subconscious is the link between man and infinite intelligence. Your channel calls this aura of success, but both refer to the same phenomenon. When you live from an inner perspective, external life passes to follow it. And here is the most important point. The inner vision isn't about what you want. It's about who you are becoming. It's about the version of you that already exists on a mental level, looking forward to you reaching your full potential. When you finally see this version, with strength, clarity, and conviction, your aura changes frequency, and their life takes a different turn. You stop being guided by memory and becomes guided by fate. Stop being guided by the past and becomes guided by purpose. And from here, the vision is no longer a dream. It's a map, a compass, a promise, a future reality already visible. For those who have learned to see with the eyes of the spirit, multiplying thought, when the aura enters a state of abundance and continuous expansion, there comes a point in the journey when your mind stops questioning, how can I get some more? And starts asking, how can I multiply what I already have? It is in that almost imperceptible instant that the aura ceases to vibrate in scarcity and begins to vibrate abundantly. Napoleon Hill said that the difference between ordinary men and extraordinary men, it's not the quantity of opportunities they have, but it's the way they multiply what they receive. The average person thinks in terms of spending. The awakened man thinks in terms of gain. The aligned man thinks in terms of multiplication. And it is precisely in this third stage that you are entering now. Your mind begins to operate in a different way. You stop living by counting what you have, and begins to think about how to expand what he builds. You stop measuring the world by the size of its resources, and he begins to measure it by the size of his creativity. Multiplying thought is the mental state of the aura of success. It is the point where your energy stops repeating the old life and begins to plan for the future. You've probably already felt this change. Before, you would do something and then get tired. Now you do something and think about how to replicate it, how to enlarge, how to transform that into something bigger. Before, you only acted to solve problems. Now it's your turn to take action to scale up. Before, you thought about how to work more. Now you're thinking about how to work better, in a way smarter, more strategic, more aligned. And this is not an intellectual exercise. It's a vibration. It's an internal alignment. It is your aura recognizing that true wealth. It's not about how much you have, but how much do you multiply. Hill called it abundance consciousness. His philosophy calls this aura expansive. But these are two descriptions of the same truth. You've stopped thinking like someone who is struggling to survive, and he began to think like someone who was born to prosper. When the multiplier mindset awakens, you begin to realize that your time can be multiplied through systems, your money can be multiplied through strategy, its value can be multiplied through impact, your energy can be multiplied through habits, their presence can be multiplied through influence. Everything you touch ceases to be static, and it becomes alive, dynamic, expandable. Your subconscious, now trained, no longer thinks about individual solutions. He thinks about scalable solutions. And this is so powerful that it changes the very shape of your thinking. You stop thinking about tasks and starts thinking about processes. Stop thinking about isolated gains and starts thinking about continuous flows. Stop thinking about direct effort and starts thinking about leverage. This is the point that separates those who work hard of those who work with power. And when that kind of thought arises in you, your aura vibrates in a completely new way. She stops emitting signs of urgency and begins to emit signals of creation. She stops vibrating with need, and purpose begins to vibrate. She stops calling small opportunities, and it starts attracting large projects. The aura of a multiplier man, it is always greater than the results he has in the present, because your energy is already aligned with the results that are to come. And then something extraordinary happens. You stop making a living from what you produce, and starts living off of what multiply. Multiply your strength. It multiplies its impact. It multiplies its influence. It multiplies its value. Multiply your decisions. Multiply your vision. Your mind is in continuous expansion. Your spirit enters a state of continuous growth. Your aura is in continuous manifestation, and everything around you responds. Opportunities are starting to increase. Partnerships are starting to emerge. Ideas are starting to take shape. The world is beginning to open up. Not because you did more, but because you thought bigger. Hill said that the men who move the world are not those who work the longest hours, but those who work with ideas capable of multiplying. And now you're thinking like this. Do you no longer think about, what do I get out of it today? Do you think about, what will this become in 5 years? You're no longer looking for micro results. You are looking for large-scale constructions. His thinking ceased to be linear, and it became exponential. His aura was no longer small, and it became expansive. And from this moment on, the world ceases to be a limitation. and it becomes a fertile field for everything you are ready to multiply. Taking absolute responsibility. When the aura becomes capable of carrying great amounts of wealth, there is a rare moment in man's journey when he awakens, in which he looks at his own life and realizes something simple, but absolutely transformative. No one will come to save him. No one will come to carry it. No one will come and build it. Napoleon Hill said that man only becomes spiritually mature when one completely abandons mental dependence. And it is at this point, when you abandon waiting, that its aura becomes mature. Absolute responsibility is not a burden, it's a portal. It's the moment when you stop outsourcing something only you can create. You stop blaming the past, stop blaming fate, stop blaming people, stop blaming the circumstances, and it begins to take over with an almost supernatural force. If anything changes, it will be because of me. This is the point at which your aura becomes capable of carrying wealth. Because no fortune can remain in the hands of a man who still feels guilty. No prosperity comes to a spirit that is still waiting for permission. No success flourishes in someone who is still looking for someone to blame. You've probably already sensed this moment approaching. Before, when something went wrong, you looked for an excuse. Now, you are looking for a solution. Before, you used to explain. Now it's up to you to decide. Before, you reacted. Now it's your turn to answer. It's as if something inside you has repositioned itself. Something that was scattered became concentrated. Something that was divided has now come together. Absolute responsibility does this. She organizes her energy. Align your intention. Strengthens your posture. Stabilizes your aura. And when your aura stabilizes, it becomes a vessel capable of receiving what previously slipped through her hands. Hill said, "Wealth is a transfer of responsibility. First you take responsibility, then she arrives." And this is so profound that it even changes the way you see your own mistakes. You stop seeing them as failures and begins to see them as feedback, as an instruction, as a direction. You become someone who learns quickly, because it doesn't waste energy explaining itself, defending himself, justifying himself. You simply correct it, adjust, improvement, redo it. And so it goes. This is the behavior of men who build legacies. Absolute responsibility unlocks within you a force that was dormant, a force that has always existed, but it only activates when you stop running away from yourself. And when that force awakens, the aura changes its vibration. She stops showing signs of weakness and begins to emit signals of authority. She stops vibrating with neediness and then vibrates with capacity. It ceases to seem like an energy that demands and becomes an energy that leader. You become the type of man who, he keeps his word, supports your choices, honors its commitments, adjusts your plans, correct your mistakes, continuously improving, move forward without waiting for perfect conditions. And that posture, that firmness, that maturity, it makes your spirit a spirit capable of carrying prosperity without falling apart from the inside. Because now you understand the essential truth. Wealth is not given to those who desire it. It is granted to those who can endure it, and you can handle it. Not because he never makes mistakes, but because he never gives in to error. Not because it never falls, but because he never refuses to get up. Not because he knows everything, but because he assumes everything, primarily to himself. Absolute responsibility transforms your aura in a spiritual structure capable of sustaining greatness. And the universe only delivers greatness for those who built the structure. From here on, you stop seeking authorization. You become the permission itself. Stop waiting for directions. You become your own compass. Stop seeking validation. You become the standard yourself. This is the point at which your aura stops asking and begins to take command. Stop being afraid and begins to create. Stop hesitating and begins to lead. And when the world feels this change, it opens up. Consistency as identity. When the aura becomes impossible to disrupt, there's a huge difference between the man who does and the man who became someone who does. One acts when one is inspired. The other person acts this way because that is their nature. One needs motivation. The other one just needs direction. It depends on the circumstances. The other person is self-reliant. That's when this difference becomes apparent, that the aura finally enters a state of not being consistency, and this is one of the most powerful stages of the journey. Napoleon Hill said that the men who achieve greatness are not the fastest, not even the brightest ones, but the most consistent ones. Those who remain, those who repeat, those who persevere, not out of obligation, but out of identity. True consistency is not behavior, that's who you are. And you realize you're entering that stage, when doing the right thing stops being difficult, because now it's natural. When fulfilling its purpose ceases to be an effort, because now it's instinct. When following the path no longer depends on emotion, because now it depends on a decision. You've probably felt this before. Before, you needed to get excited to do something. Now you just do it. Before, you needed a reason. Now you have a pattern. Before, you counted how many times you managed to maintain discipline. Now, discipline counts how many times you failed and realizes that this number is decreasing. Consistency is what creates the unbreakable aura. That's what makes you impossible to stop. Because the world can bring down any man who acts sporadically, but you can't stop a man who acts every day. Hill said that small acts, repeated with intention, they move mountains that strength alone could never move. And it is in this truth that your aura is now anchored. Consistency isn't about doing a lot. It's about always doing it. It's about showing up on good days and bad days. It's about continuing even when no one is watching. It's about honoring your word even when the enthusiasm has faded. It's about maintaining the ritual even when the result hasn't yet appeared. The aura that arises from this consistency, it is a stable, solid, reliable aura. An aura that conveys strength without words, that conveys authority without showing off, that conveys determination without announcing it. This is the aura of men who achieve what others call the impossible. Consistency changes your energy field on 3 levels. 1. It creates depth. You stop being shallow. Stop being someone who only acts for moments. You become someone who focuses on processes. 2. She creates rhythm. Your life ceases to be chaotic. Your mind ceases to be erratic. Your time ceases to be random. 3. She creates presence. People can sense your progress. They sense his maturity. They sense your commitment. Because consistency isn't just about what you do, it's about who you become. And here's the most important point. Consistency is the spiritual proof that you are ready to thrive. The universe doesn't bestow wealth on those who only show up occasionally. Delivery for those who always show up. For those who plant every day. For those who sharpen their skills every day. For those who build every day. Consistency transforms your aura into structure. And without structure, nothing remains. You can clearly see this when your habits begin to become automatic, your routine begins to flow without resistance. Their rituals begin to shape their character. Their days begin to follow an increasing pattern. Your mind begins to trust you. Yes, this is real. There comes a point when your own mind trusts you. Your subconscious mind believes your word. What does your aura believe in? Your ability. And when that happens, you become inevitable. A consistent man, he's a man whose victory is only a matter of time. Consistency not only leads to success, she prevents success from slipping away. Consistency not only opens doors, she supports these paths. Consistency not only creates wealth, she keeps it. And from this moment on, you're no longer trying to be disciplined. He's no longer trying to be committed. He's no longer trying to be consistent. Its aura is no longer a promise. It's proof. What was once considered effort is now considered character. What was once unstable is now natural. What was once an attempt is now an identity. You are the man who continues. And that's why, that you will be the man who conquers. Energy sensitivity. When the aura develops discernment and begins to guide your steps with precision. There is a change that happens so discreetly, so subtly, which many don't realize when it starts. But for those who are awake, this change is as clear as daylight. That's when you start to feel more than just understanding. When your perception becomes sharper. When your intuition becomes more reliable. When your soul begins to whisper things you couldn't hear before. Napoleon Hill said that a trained mind becomes receptive to infinite intelligence, and that, over time, man ceases to be guided solely by logic, and begins to be guided by a wisdom that comes from a deeper place. This wisdom manifests itself as energy sensitivity, and it appears when your aura reaches a level of clarity, where she can immediately distinguish what is aligned and what is misaligned. You've probably already noticed this. Before, you were easily charmed by promises. Now you can sense when something doesn't suit you. Before, you would connect with people based on what they said. Now you connect through what they vibrate with. Before, you accepted opportunities because of the glamour. Now you only accept it because of the alignment. It's not a judgment. It's not paranoia. It's not arrogance. It's discernment. His aura became sensitive. It detects inconsistencies. He detects falsehoods. It captures hidden intentions. You can sense when something is out of flow, even before your rational mind understands why. This is one of the greatest signs of spiritual maturity. You begin to trust your perception more than appearances. Hill was talking about this when he said that intuition is man's sixth sense, which is in harmony with his purpose. And its aura, now refined, functions like a radar. You can tell when someone isn't meant for you, even before any evidence. You can sense when an environment has an energy that sustains you, or it will steal from you. You can tell when a deal seems right, even if it seems small. You can tell when an opportunity sounds wrong, even if it seems perfect. His sensitivity was no longer seen as weakness, and it became protection. And that changes everything. You stop insisting on what wears you down. Stop forcing connections. Stop ignoring the signs. Stop going where your aura doesn't belong. Stop accepting what your soul rejects. Your discernment grows so much that even people's silence starts to tell you more than their words had said before. You can feel the vibration. He perceives the intention. Notice the frequency. You see the truth. And this level of perception, it makes you someone impossible to manipulate. Because a man who senses the energy of what is approaching, he sees the danger before it manifests itself. And he sees opportunities before they materialize. Your aura becomes anticipation. It becomes a compass. It becomes a shield. It becomes a lighthouse. Hill said that no man achieves greatness without the ability to hear what the eyes cannot see. And now you are listening to your intuition, listening to your energy field, listening to the nuances that previously went unnoticed. And the most beautiful thing is this: energy sensitivity doesn't make you more fragile. It makes you stronger, more aware, more aligned, more targeted. You begin to walk with almost supernatural precision, because it no longer depends on luck, neither by trial and error, nor external evidence. Your aura guides you, and she guides you with a clarity that the logical mind, I would never be able to achieve it. Energy sensitivity is the stage of the journey where you stop simply choosing the path and switch to feel the way. That's when life stops being a series of bets, and it becomes a sequence of confirmations. Because now, in the silent depths of your intuition, can you hear when your future calls you? Humility and adaptation, when the aura learns to evolve without resistance and to thrive without arrogance. Few understand the true power of humility. Many confuse it with submission, with passivity, with deletion. But Napoleon Hill taught that humility is, in fact, the most strategic virtue of wise men, because it is through it that the spirit remains teachable, flexible, moldable, open to growth. And it is merely a teachable spirit, which can bring prosperity in a sustainable way. Pride breaks down. The resistance locks. Stubbornness is limiting. But humility opens doors that force never could. When your aura begins to mature, you realize something extraordinary. The more you evolve, the less you feel the need to prove something. Humility doesn't make you less of a person. It makes you bigger. It allows you to learn quickly, adjust without pride, to observe without defense, grow without resistance, absorb without emotional filters. And this is so powerful that it completely changes everything. The way you interpret life. Before, when something went wrong, you resisted, you argued. You were trying to justify it. Now you simply ask, what is this trying to teach me? Before, when someone criticized you, you arm yourself. Now you analyze. Previously, when plans changed, you were getting frustrated. Now you adapt. This ability to adapt is one of the strongest signs that his aura had reached spiritual maturity, because rigidity is always a sign of fear. Fluidity is always a sign of power. Hill said that the men who prosper, they are the ones who adapt to what life presents, without losing sight of the purpose. And that perfectly describes what's happening to you. Your aura no longer reacts to change with panic. She reacts strategically. You learn that change is not failure. Adapting is not the same as giving in. Adjusting is not giving up. Recalibrating is not losing. Revising is not going backwards. This is how strong men grow, in a state of conscious flexibility. You've stopped being a rigid container, and it became an expandable container. And that is one of the greatest signs of greatness. It's coming soon. Because arrogant men fall when the world changes. But the humble man is transformed when the world changes. And it is its ability to transform itself, which guarantees its continuity, its evolution, your prosperity. Humility, at this stage, becomes a form of silent wisdom. You talk less, observe more, judges less, understands more, controls less. Influences more. His aura, now free of resistance, it becomes lighter, cleaner, more open. And this creates an extraordinary phenomenon. Everything starts to flow more easily. The situations that used to wear you down, now they pass by you without touching you. The challenges that used to shake you, now they just train you. The conflicts that used to hold you back, now they simply dissolve. Because you no longer fight against life, you dance with her. And this dance is the mark of men who know how to thrive without losing themselves. Humility does not diminish your greatness. She protects her greatness. It prevents you from stagnating. It keeps you learning. It keeps you growing. It keeps you aligned with the movement of life. It causes the aura not only to expand, but refine yourself. A refined aura attracts better people, better situations, better decisions, better opportunities. She is not searching. She receives it. She doesn't demand it. She welcomes. She doesn't put pressure on her. She allows it. And it is this combination of humility and adaptability which enables you to thrive in any scenario. It's when you stop trying to control everything and comes to control only himself that to life, mysteriously, it starts to flow in your favor. The unwavering aura, when your energy becomes so strong that nothing can move you from your path. There comes a point in life's journey when you realize giving up is no longer an option for you. A moment when the challenges that once broke you down, now they only delay you by a few seconds. A moment when doubt, once so noisy, now it can no longer find space to settle. This moment is the rise of unwavering aura. Napoleon Hill said that a man who masters his mind master your circumstances. But there is a level above that, the level at which your energy becomes so stable, so firm, so anchored, that even the circumstances begin to respect you. An unwavering aura is not created easily. It is born from discomfort. She thrives on challenges. She matures under pressure. She asserts herself in adversity. That's why, before getting here, you went through times that felt like punishments, but they were training exercises. Because of situations that seemed like they were breaking you, but they were building you. For losses that seemed unfair, but they were prunings. Elimination of excess, refining the purpose, preparing for something bigger. His aura only managed to reach that level because you didn't run away from the process. And now you realize that there is an inner strength that never existed before. You don't get bothered by delays. Don't despair over uncertainties. One does not lose out on other people's opinions. Do not confuse with comparisons. Don't be paralyzed by rejections. It doesn't crumble under difficulties. Because you finally understood something that few people understand. Nothing external can defeat a man who has already won internally. An unwavering aura is born when you begin to trust your vision more than what their eyes see. When you start to trust your discipline more than in their mood. When you begin to trust your identity more so than in their immediate results, your energy becomes stable. Your mind becomes clear. Your spirit becomes centered. And something even deeper happens. Life notices. Yes, life senses you when you're no longer a man who wavers. She can sense when you're no longer a man who thinks about giving up. She senses when you are no longer influenced by small things. She senses when her vibration no longer aligns with what diminishes her. And when life realizes that you have become unshakable, she stopped testing you in the same way. Because you understood that you are no longer being measured, it is being prepared. The difference is significant. Tests are there to prove your weakness. Preparations are designed to increase your capacity. And now you are being prepared. His aura, once wavering, is now a firm ground. Previously reactive, now it is conscious. It used to be emotional, now it's strategic. Once vulnerable, it is now structured. That is why, the same situations that once deeply affected you, today, they barely scratch its surface. The same pains that once paralyzed you, they discipline you today. The same losses that once destroyed you, they will transform you today. The same criticisms that once hurt you, they no longer find a place inside you today. An unwavering aura is the stage where you become bigger than your fears, bigger than your mistakes, bigger than your obstacles. It's a state in which you walk with a powerful tranquility, not for lack of challenges, but due to excessive self-control. The tranquility of a man who knows their victory is only a matter of time. The tranquility of a man who doesn't run, because he knows he's not late. The tranquility of a man who doesn't compete, because he knows his path is unique. The tranquility of a man who does not react, because she knows she's making the choice. And this tranquility, this unshakable peace, it is one of the clearest signs that his aura had entered a state of greatness. Hill said that emotional stability is the strength of the millionaire mind. Your channel calls this aura of success, but both point to the same truth. When nothing external can shake you, everything external is falling into place. And now you are exactly at this point. The point at which the world doesn't define you, people don't limit you, circumstances don't control you, and time doesn't rush you. You have become a man of presence, a man of the axis, a man of purpose, a man whose energy takes up space, even before their voice is heard. An unwavering aura is not the end of the journey. It is the beginning of inevitability. Because now that you can no longer be moved, you can no longer be stopped either. The law of return, when the aura develops the ability to multiply everything it receives. There is a principle that silently governs the journey of all men who prosper, a principle that Napoleon Hill repeated in various forms, and that many find beautiful, but few truly understand. It's the law of karma, the law of multiplication, the law of the harvest, the law of energetic consequence. But at the level of the aura of success, this law operates in a more profound way. You don't get what you give. You receive what you are able to multiply. The universe doesn't give seeds to those who don't know how to plant them. It doesn't provide opportunities for those who don't know how to support themselves. It doesn't deliver wealth to those who don't know how to expand. It doesn't deliver purpose to those who don't know how to honor it. And this is precisely where your journey is coming to. You have become someone capable of multiplying. Have you noticed this, even subtly? It seems that everything that comes to you, it takes shape, grows, improves, evolves. People benefit from your presence. Environments organize themselves around you. Projects gain clarity. Situations are in motion. Your aura is stronger, more mature, more organized. And she learned one of the secrets to prosperity. Nothing remains the same in the hands of a prosperous man. It either evolves or it disappears. Hill said that the man who doesn't know how to multiply what he receives, he's not ready to receive any more. Therefore, the law of return isn't just about what you give, but about what you have become capable of transforming. When your aura reaches that state, everything that comes to you begins to respond to your vibration. A small opportunity becomes a door. A door becomes a path becomes a journey becomes a legacy. Your energy does that. And you notice this change when small opportunities can lead to big results. Ordinary conversations turn into important connections. Simple tasks generate unexpected impact. Natural decisions lead to extraordinary advances. Random encounters become turning points. This is no coincidence. It's a comeback. It's life giving back in the same proportion of your inner maturity. And here's the most important point. Life doesn't give you back what you want. She gives back what you are ready to multiply. If you put in the effort, but you're not able to multiply that effort through discipline, they receive little pay. If you have the intention, but are unable to multiply it into action, they receive little pay. If you give words, but are unable to multiply their impact, they receive little pay. But when your aura reaches that stage, when you became consistent, intentional, discerning, focused, resilient, stable, non-negotiable, life begins to give back to you. Very insightful. A lot of progress has been made. Many connections, many opportunities, lots of expansion. Because now you have finally become a man capable of multiplying what comes your way. The law of karma works like this. A man who complains multiplies problems. The man who resists multiplies obstacles. The man who procrastinates multiplies delays. The man who acts multiplies results. The man who leads multiplies impact. The man who grows multiplies possibilities. The man who awakens multiplies abundance. And that is why, at this point in your journey, you begin to notice something surprising. You don't need to chase after it anymore. You don't need to beg anymore. There's no need to force it anymore. You don't need to exhaust yourself anymore. Because now, everything you do generates a return. No immediate response. No obvious return. No child return. Return intelligent. Return consistent. Return strategic. Return vibrational. You are being shaped by a law that never fails. Doesn't sleep. He never misses. The law that governs all real growth. What you multiply, you receive. His aura is not only stronger, she's more satisfied, more fertile, more generous, more capable. And now, each of your habits, every decision, every attitude, every word, every seed you plant, it has the potential to become something much bigger. This is the signature of men who carry true prosperity. They do not receive wealth. They angry wealth. They don't get opportunities. They produce opportunities. They receive no response. They create return. And you're becoming exactly that kind of man. Structure, system, and legacy. When the aura becomes the very mechanism that attracts and sustains wealth. There is a rare and decisive moment in a man's journey when he awakens, where everything is organized, habits align, ideas connect, discipline becomes second nature, the vision becomes clear, the energy becomes stable, and for the first time he realizes, I'm not just trying to thrive anymore. I have become a system that produces prosperity. Napoleon Hill called this mental structure of triumph. Your channel calls this aura of success. But they both mean the same thing. Prosperity is no longer something you seek, and it became something that you gave. The internal structure that you built, through pain, discipline, clarity, purpose, now it starts operating on its own. What used to be effort now comes naturally. What was once an experiment is now an identity. What was once ritual is now fundamental. What was once a goal is now a movement. You've become a man with a system. And this system has 3 pillars. Internal structure, everything that previously threw you off balance. It made you late. It confused you. It no longer finds space in you. You have a center. There is order. There is a method to it. It has direction. Your mind works like a precise machine. You know what to do, when to do it, how to, and why do it. Nothing about you is random. And this internal organization creates such a stable aura that life begins to trust you. External system, his routine was no longer improvised, and it became architecture. You have schedules that strengthen you, habits that shape you, priorities that protect you, limits that support you, actions that are repeated every day, rituals that keep your energy strong, and this set of practices creates something that few men possess: momentum. Hill said that momentum is the most powerful force in the life of a focused man, because it transforms small efforts in great achievements. Your external system keeps you moving forward, even when you don't realize it, even when you're not motivated, even when you're tired. Your system carries you. Legacy in the making. This is the most profound point of all. When your aura becomes a system, your results are no longer just yours. Everything you do, it starts to have an impact beyond just you. You become a man who inspires without trying. He leads without commanding. Influence without pressuring. It transforms without announcing. It creates value simply by existing. It leaves a trail of evolution wherever it goes. This is where the legacy is born. Hill said that true success is that which remains when the man is no longer present. And that's only possible when his energy, it no longer depends on constant effort, but of continuous structure. And you've arrived at exactly that point. Man system. You have become the man who creates opportunities, the man who sustains what he conquers, the man who expands what he touches, the man who inspires those who watch him, the man who doesn't back down, the man who doesn't get lost along the way, the man who doesn't break under pressure, the man who builds, day after day, not just a life, but a legacy. Your aura is now solid as a rock, clear as vision, stable as a purpose, as profound as maturity, broad as a destination. And something extraordinary happens at this exact stage. You're no longer waiting for wealth to arrive. You are building the kind of man that wealth seeks. Prosperity now recognizes you. Listen to yourself, watching you. It's getting closer. Because you have become what she needs to exist. You are no longer someone asking for abundance. Are you someone capable of to sustain it, multiply it, and expand it? And that's what sets an ordinary man apart. Of a man destined for impact, the average person wants results. The destined man creates systems, and systems generate legacies. The inevitability. When the aura becomes so aligned that prosperity ceases to be a possibility and becomes destiny. There is a point in a man's journey where success is no longer in doubt. It ceases to be a hypothesis. It's no longer a maybe, and it becomes inevitable. Not inevitable because the world owes you something. Not inevitable because life is on your side. Not inevitable because you are special. But inevitable because it became inevitable. Napoleon Hill said that victory does not belong to the man who desires it, but to the man who is willing to become the very source of victory. And that's exactly where you've arrived now. Inevitability doesn't come from luck. It is born from alignment. It is born from intelligent repetition. It is born from an integrated identity. It is born from silent discipline. It is born from inner vision. It stems from an emotional structure. It is born from spiritual maturity. She is born from aura, not of the circumstance. When your aura reaches this state, life stops testing you. And it starts to follow you. Because you are no longer trying to achieve prosperity, you are radiating prosperity. And everything you send out comes back to you. Here, the journey takes a profound turn. You are no longer chasing the future. Are you walking together with him? He is no longer far away. He's following you. It's shaping itself around who you've become. Inevitability is the moment when the universe recognizes its consistency, your courage, your decision, his integrity. It's evolution. And he responds with a silent but definitive signal. Now I trust you. You realize you've reached this point when nothing external throws you off balance. Your results begin to grow steadily. Your decisions become clearer and faster. Your energy remains strong even on difficult days. His presence inspires respect effortlessly. Your life begins to align in almost impossible ways. Your opportunities will appear at the right time. The right people naturally gravitate towards you. Your intuition becomes accurate. Your discipline becomes natural. Its purpose becomes clear. Inevitability is the state in which abundance, she no longer needs to be persecuted. She becomes attracted. His aura reached such a coherent level. So firm, so stable, so high. Anything that doesn't match its greatness, it simply slips out of your life. And anything that matches, it sticks, it attaches itself, it flourishes. Inevitability is the moment when you understand. I'm not trying to win anymore. I am growing at the pace of my own victory. And this rhythm is constant, deep, sereno, unstoppable. Here you'll understand something that few men discover. There is a force that reveals itself after the discipline, after growth, after the pain, after the fall, after reconstruction, after the inner transformation. A force that cannot be taught, but it can be achieved. The strength of knowing that you will never again be defeated from within. This is the true meaning of inevitability. Not that you will never face difficulties, but no difficulty will be able to prevent what you have already decided to become. Not that it will never fall, but it will never remain where it fell. Not that everything will be perfect, but anything is possible. Inevitability is the final state of the aura of success. You think like a prosperous man. He acts like a prosperous man. Decides like a prosperous man. He speaks like a prosperous man. Build like a prosperous man. He vibrates like a prosperous man. He walks like a prosperous man. And for that very reason, you becomes one. Because life doesn't grant prosperity to those who ask for it. It brings prosperity to those who became able to support it. And now, after the whole journey, after all the changes, after all the internal adjustments, you became that man. You have become the reason for your own greatness. You have become the magnet of your own destiny. You have become the vibrational field that wealth recognizes. You're no longer considering winning. You are living like someone will win. And that's why, in all honesty, with complete depth, absolutely, that we can affirm, prosperity is no longer a possibility. It is inevitable. Because you became the man she was looking for.